Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. As we mentioned, it's Friday the 13th of October and we're exploring some folklore this morning. I want to welcome Library Assistant 1 at the Educational Library Services Division of NALIS, Mr. Kester Peters, who joins us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Kester.
Good morning to the panel. Good morning, Trinidad. How's everybody doing?
So far, we're real good, and we're excited about the story that you're about to tell us this morning because we're dealing with tales and folklore. So I'm gonna hand over to you because this morning you're gonna read for us from the same Michael Anthony book I would have discussed this morning. Actually, we're reading a story called "The Silk Cotton Trees of Sangre Grande." Before I get booked from my producer, Sangre Grande. So Kester, take it away.
The silk cotton trees of Sangre Grande. From the time Pa Harris moved into the area, he did not like the idea of those silk cotton trees standing there. He did not like the look of those two huge trees with the girth of the trunks more formidable than he had ever seen. And they were so tall that the branches seemed to scrape the sky. But what was more, those trees laid on the sides of the road, and he had to pass there every day. The road to Sangre Chiquito, where he had bought a piece of land. From the time he had moved here, he had seen those trees, and he had grown depressed. He kept murmuring to himself, Sokunia trees, Lagahu trees. I don't know why they're harboring these trees. Them is evil thing they're encouraging. At last, he decided the only solution was to have a talk with the ward officer. One day, he walked around by the police station, by the warden's office. He spoke to a young ward officer and was amused to see him, but to be listening intently. At last, Pa Harris was finished. The ward officer looked up and said, When? Up to last night. Up to last night, Pa Harris said. Up to last night. When I passed there, I see the thing plain. I tell you, it was not no mistake. It was a real spirit. The thing was white, and while Pa Harris was talking, he was trembling. The ward officer laughed. The old man was talking as though he really believed what he was saying. He looked at the old man's face and said to him, Nothing will change with these country people, yes? Just imagine a man in his right thinking mind telling me about spirits, as if spirits could be real. He got up and put his hand on the old man's shoulder. Mr. Harris, I don't know what to tell you. If I talk about people believing in all kind of superstition, it wouldn't make any difference to you. I wouldn't change your beliefs. Look, I already realized that straight talk wouldn't make any difference with you. You done stepped in your beliefs. So I can't make no more impression. You can't stop people from believing in these things because, see, the ideas, these things with us so long. Even my own wife believe in Dwayne and Lagahu and Laja Bless. So Laja Bless not real? Pa Harris interrupted heatedly. Lagahu and Laja Bless, them not real? Look up to the night before. The ward officer laughed softly as he sat down. He said, Oh gosh, take it easy, without looking at the old man. He was looking at the floor, but after a few seconds he looked up and said with a surprising, firm voice, Look, old man, I will tell you a thing or two. You could take it or you could leave it. But I will tell you, I ain't going to beat around no bush. I'll tell you it as it is. It ain't have no Sakunya, no Lagahu, no spirit, no Dwen, no Papa Bois. Right? It have nothing like that. Pa Harris looked at him with a shocked face. He was speechless. Then he said, But ward officer, I see it. I saw this spirit with my two eyes. Look, gentleman, I know you're a young fella and you don't believe what people say, but don't tell me I didn't see it. I ain't tell you I didn't see it. Of course, you see something, but it must be a fig leaf or something you see and see as a spirit. This was no fig leaf, boy. This was no fig leaf. The thing was like a man dressed in all white. I coming from a friend's house in Sangre Chiquito. I was working on my piece of land whole morning. And I went by a friend, and when I was going home, it was only 9 o'clock. From the time I hit Sangre Chiquito Bridge, I see that white thing. When I walked nearer, I saw it. It had no head. It had no head. So I stand up, my foot heavy and shaking. From the time I see it, the thing make a steps towards me. I run and I start to bawl. The young warden officer laughed so loudly that the whole entire office looked around. He put his hands to his mouth quickly. After a while, the ward officer turned to the old man, but he could not speak. He was laughing so much. At last he said, Mr. What's your name again? Harris. Harris is my name. Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris, you come here to kill me with laughter, dear what? Is some fig leaf or something like that you see make you run? Because those things could look white in the night under the moonlight, you know? Some fig leaf, the wind blow. Look here, you're an old man already, and I can't change you. But to cut down those trees, Mr. Harris, you're watching those two lovely silk cotton trees there and saying they're encouraging Sukunya, Lagahu, and spirits. I don't know what to tell you again, okay? Suppose I ask you, what is a Lagahu? You could tell me, a Lagahu? A Lagahu is a man who does turn animal in the night. Lagahu is a thing that does pull chain in the night. Mr. Gentleman, you never see a Lagahu yet? The young warden officer couldn't help but bursting into laughter again. Then he said, Mr. Harris, I won't say anymore. Because your kind of will is not mine. You believe in all sorts of superstition like Lagahu and spirit. You talk about Sangre Chiquito, that's where I live, right? And I pass those silk cotton trees day and night, all hours. You think I have time to see Lagahu and spirit? You think I have time to believe in them kind of things? The only spirit I scared of is the one with a head, like me and you, the living. He laughed, but the old man was not laughing. The old man didn't even nod. With his hat on his head, he got up and he said, Thank you, Mr. Ward Officer. And he went straight to the door. Out on the street, in the sunshine, Pa Harris stood up and looked at the silk cotton trees. As he looked at the massive tree trunks towering the houses and the big trees, he felt as if there was a fluttering in his belly. He did not have to ask himself, as always, why did they have to have those trees right beside the road? Because he was already resolved to get rid of them. For it was people like the ward officer who was harboring these trees, bringing all sorts of Dwen and Lagahu and Laja Bless right into Sangre Grande. He stood there for a moment, looking at the silk cotton trees and working out his plan. At the time he was thinking of Sangre Chiquito, it was broad daylight, only about 10:30 in the morning. But he did not relish the idea of passing between those trees to go up to Sangre Chiquito. But if he had to go, he had to go. But first, he would have to go up and collect some things he would need. His head was hot with plans as he crossed the street by the roundabout and headed to Ojo Road. As he walked up the road, he smiled. He was not a man to resort to tricks, but those trees had to go. Otherwise, he could never remain in Sangre Grande. The young war officer had to be taught a lesson. He had to be made to learn and to learn fast. Pa Harris reached home, collected his garden implements, and immediately left for Sangre Chiquito. He turned up to the winding road and started to recite his prayer magnificent to ward off evils and the silk cotton tree. It was only a week after the young ward officer emerged from Ascot Cinema when he was heading home for Sangre Chiquito. The night was black, and the show now finished so late that, apart from the crowd that the cinema left, all of Sangre Grande was asleep. When he reached the roundabout by the police station, he noticed he was the only one going along the road to Sangre Chiquito. So he relaxed. And he even began jaywalking along the pavement. Just then, he heard the jangling of a chain behind him, looked back but didn't see anything. But after a moment, he heard the chain again, this time loud, passing on the other side of the road. His heart began to thump. At first, he had thought the jangling of the train might have been some cow or donkey that broken loose, but it couldn't be, for he had not heard hoofs. His heart was still pounding. His brain seemed to be going wild. I wonder where's this boy? I wonder where's this? He thought, I wonder where's this? Now he heard the chain in the distance where the silk cotton trees were, and he said to himself, that is funny. Some of these old people just talk sense, you know. They say it are good and it are evil. I wonder if there's anything superstitious, boy. As he approached the silk cotton trees, he slowed his steps, and an owl screeched, making him jump. He stopped. Then he began walking again timidly. When he reached the part of the road flanked by the trees, his heart began to race even more. Now he heard the chain rush past on the other side of the road, and he went wild. His heart raced with fear. He tried to pass the silk cotton trees quickly, but as he got past, he heard a voice say clearly, "What, officer?" As he turned to the darkness, he could see nothing but flowing white robes. "Oh God! Oh God!" he screamed and bolted wildly down the road. Pa Harris found those robes too cumbersome. He chased them just a little way, then stood up. The next morning, Monday, the war officer was at the desk early. He was whistling cheerily despite aching legs and a bruised elbow, and he was scribbling in one of his notebooks. Then he called for one of his laborers. When the man came, the ward officer said, "Look, bruv, do the summer right away." The laborer went up to him. The ward officer said, "Take the slip to the canes and tell him to arrange immediately for the felling of those 2 silk cotton trees." The laborer was startled. He said, The silk cotton trees, sir? The one on them on the main road? They're there for years. Them and do nobody nothing." The ward officer laughed. "You got it, bruv. That's exactly it. They're there for years and they ain't do nobody nothing. Not yet. But you know, when they come crashing down on some boss or on some crowd, and you know, this will happen then. So then the people will say we ain't do nothing, and everybody would be at the ward office head. So you know what I mean? Just fix it up for me now, bruv, and let him take in front before in front take we. Crick crack. Monkey breaky back.
Oh, no. Peace up, Omar. Thank you so much, Kester. Brilliant.
Welcome, man.
Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Same to you, man. Take care.
Blessings. Oh boy, that was Kester Peters reading for us there. The Silk Cotton Trees of Sangre Grande.
He enjoyed that
by Michael Anthony. I enjoyed Kester reading it as well. Kester's a boss.
Kester had a time.
Kester's a boss. Guys, we take a quick break and we're going to come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. We have more folklore, more folk tales, and so much more. Stick around.